is A.C. Moses, a.k.a. King Bobalouie. One gang in particular that I grew in the midst of was the Avenues. You know, they were like in junior high school, at Charles Drew Junior High School. I always knew about the Avenues because even then, even the smallest of siblings and families was claiming to be Avenues. And if you had a lot of brothers and sisters, you more or less was like, had a little safeguard with you. But me, like I said, I was like a big kid, and I was a loner when I was going to school. My sister was my big brother at that time, and even then, she knew about the Avenues. Well, everybody would mention Craig Munson, you know, Donnie Boy, Raymond Burns, you know, Boo, Victor Adams, you know, Fred Stacy, you know, the Carters, Kenny Carter, you know what I mean? And all the Munson brothers, you know what I mean? It was a lot, Dot, you know, Butcher Boy, you know, there was a lot of them.
Now, did they have a particular neighborhood, a turf?
Oh yeah, basically around, like on the Firestone area, and go all the way back to 89th and Central, on back up towards Firestone, Manchester, where Firestone and Manchester break off, and all around like in the 70s, like 79th, Nadu, you go around there, that's all the Eastside area, okay? And then you had like Hooper Street, where the Munsons and you know, all them resided at. When I went to 77th Broadway, now, I encountered an affiliation and an introduction to the Miles family. But now Richard Miles was the one, and more in my age group, that I began associating with. And I got real tight with him because it seemed like everybody felt intimidated by Richard. He was a tall, skinny dude, right? But his eyes and the way he carried himself, it let you know that he cut your throat. He was no joke. He hurt you.
Now, was Richard Miles a little bit older than you?
We was around about the same age. Richard might have been a few months older than me.
But he was already like established in that neighborhood.
Yeah, he was a leader. But the thing is that he had brothers like Juggy, that's older than him, and then Fee-Boy, older than Juggy. Then he had another brother that Bebe. You know, he was like you know, cross-dresser, but the bad boy was no joke. He was a gangster.
Wait, he was a what?
He was cross-dresser, but he was a gangster too.
So you had guys cross-dressing in the 60s?
But Bebe was a cross-dresser, but he was no joke. I mean, nobody would mess with Bebe either. You know what I'm saying? These are Miles I'm talking about. They were just a big family, and everybody from that immediate neighborhood respected them, and they were like the controllers, right? And then later they developed like 77th Street Boys, but that didn't happen till after Bethune opened up, because I know for a fact when I was with the Miles, before Bethune Junior High School opened up, I had to go to John Muir, and man, that was a long ass walk. From 77th to Broadway, we had to walk to 59th to Vermont. From 77th to Broadway. And man, I was just happy that when I did walk, I walked with Richard and the Miles.
There was not a label that the Miles, that 77th Street mob or 77th Street Boys wasn't established yet when you guys started to go to
Well, maybe in our own little neighborhood, everybody recognized 77th Street because we had Moon, Dirty Bomb, Skipper, KK, and Donut, and all them people over there, right? We had all them folks, man, but Hannibal, you know, Lil Charles, June, all them cats. But I guess we would recognize of 77th Street. And if you want to, I'm sure that people would say 77th Street Boys. You know what I mean?
Now, why did
we wasn't like to see the graffiti. Wasn't nobody advocating that on the walls and writing this stuff all on 77th Street Boys mob. There wasn't nobody doing that kind of stuff.
Okay, so when you checked into John Muir in 1968, you had to do this long walk every morning, every day.
Every day.
What neighborhoods did you have to walk through, and who did you encounter?
Oh man, that's why I ran to people like Felix, Lee, Edmund Jones, Paul Jones, Skillet, Ellis Flagg, Craig Williams, boy, I fought Marshawn. Me and Ellis Flagg had a fight. John Muir, he was a fighter too. That was another fighter. Boy, Carl Caceros, Jackie Todd. Then they were the Broadways on the Broadway side. On the other side, Estrella and all that, they hadn't yet became Brims, but they're the verge of doing that back then. 68, after 69, they really became Brims. After Reese, which is now Bethune, had got established, then our school district, after Reese had became Bethune, and that became our district, in our district, it kind of put a stop to that long-ass walk, and we can walk right down 69th and Broadway to Bethune Junior High School. Now, a lot of people that was on the John Muir side continued to go to John Muir, right?
Most of the Broadways, right?
No, most of the Brims. The Brims still stayed at John Muir. Some came over to Bethune. I started recognizing my people that walk the same way with me to the house when I go home. And I had a boy that was on the east side with me. I used to mess with him named Don Juan. His name was, that's what he started calling himself over there, but his name was Leonard Maxey. Or Donnie Maxey. Leonard Donnie Maxey, right? And he's called himself Don Juan. But he was a pretty boy. And see, back at another thing at Bethune, if you was a pretty boy with curly hair and you got a big natural, you had clout. Because nobody messed with you, right? Because you get all the girls. So everybody want to be with the guy that get all the girls. So me, him, and another little pretty boy named Ronnie Walker, right? Not the Ronnie Walker from Matthews Park. It's another Ronnie Walker that stayed on 78th Street. And so I started hanging out with them. And with that, everybody, all the cats want to hang out with us. With me and Donnie, we attracted Raymond Washington, because that's my boy. You see what I'm saying? From the east side, right? Because we went to Charles doing shit together, right? But, and like I said, even then, back in those days, this is how strong the Avenue's influence was, right? On the Broadway side where we stayed at, right? We all admired the Avenues. You know, they was notorious.
Did the Miles admire them too?
Now, this is where I got confused. That I thought everybody did, right? It was the Miles family was so potent, they didn't give a damn about no game, right? And to talk about someone else greater than them was more like being disrespectful. Raymond came over there and introduced himself as an Avenue to all these other people. But I knew the true history of Raymond, right? But I'm the type of person I could bluff him, I could beat him. I wasn't gonna expose a thing, right? Because I grew up over there. And I knew the situation between Munson and Raymond Washington and just how much clout he had.
So at the time, Raymond wanted to be in Avenues.
He was wannabe. But see, Raymond wasn't no punk. He wasn't no punk. But to Munson, he was a punk kid. Munson was a big guy. And Raymond, he admired them cats, right? Just like I did, but see, I just was a little closer to them than he was. Because I grew up with them. You know, they kind of like raised me. You understand what I'm saying?
So when Raymond introduced himself as an Avenue and you knew immediately it wasn't the case, how did you feel about that?
I didn't say nothing. I seen the effect it had on people on this side of town, and I seen them getting strengthened and with high hopes and desires to get closer to Raymond so they could become, they could be inducted into the same gang with Raymond. You see? And that was the hopes. We know we weren't old enough to be actual, say, Avenues, but, you know what I'm saying, we could be the younger versions, the babies, right? And if we could get there with them, nobody would mess with us as far as we saw because we didn't think, we didn't look higher than nobody. We didn't think no gang was better than Avenues.
Now, all you cats had aspirations to become Avenues in 1969.
Yeah.
And who were the original guys that wanted to be Avenues, including you?
Shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. In my heart, I always was one. Because I grew up in the neighborhood.
You consider yourself a baby avenue.
They adopted me. If you mess with me, they'll get you. If a guy was to mess with me, and I came around crying, they asked me what's wrong with you, AC. So he jumped on me. They would go get him. That's how tight. That's how I was with them.
So let's go to. There's a dance at Fremont in '69 where the avenues are at, and you guys get turned down.
That was crazy. Finally, man, it had to happen, man. And shit, we was ready, man. We was down for man. We knew we was been inducted to the Avenue, baby boys, man. And shit, Raymond Burns was that came up and asked us who all these little fool ass niggas you got with you. Raymond. Call Raymond. Right? I remember saying this fellas, man, because back then, we weren't saying homie. You know what I'm saying? Homies, that came out way a little later. The homeboy and all that shit. These the fellas, man. Who's the fellas? Baby Avenue. Nigga, you know, baby, what you mean, Baby Avenue? Nigga, you better get them niggas out of here. You know what I'm saying? Baby Avenue, they started joking and calling each other. Hey, some other guy, look. These niggas say Baby Avenue, right? Oh, man, we started tucking our tails and shit because they could have mopped us up. I don't think none of us would have fought them back.
They said, stop claiming avenues. Y'all ain't avenues.
Man, they should know in a real cool ass way. Actually, in a gangster way. If I hear that shit come out y'all mouth again. You hear me? I'm going to fix it where you can't see your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, we did do.
So to some people, they thought y'all were baby avenues, right?
Oh, see, that's the impression we had left with them.
Yeah.
But see, to this day, they don't know why we became Crips. You know what I'm saying? I don't think none of us was going to tell them that we was wannabes and got rejected. You know what I'm saying? We weren't going to tell them that because we had began generating fear in everybody else's heart.
So you guys are disappointed, right? You guys leave, and then eventually you guys have a meeting at Robert and Gerald Duhan's.
Oh, yeah, on 8/3, yeah.
So talk about...
That was the next day.
The very next day.
Yeah, that was the next day. You see, we had to be something. You know what I'm saying? Well, we had told everybody, but no, we was Avenue. We had the meeting there, and not only did we just have a meeting there and became Crips, what we did do was now, remember to all the pretty boys that everybody used to hang around with? It was our turn to get even with them pretty boys. You understand what I'm saying? In order to be a Crip, a real Crip, back then, see, we had blue rags, red rags. Every motherfucker here, if they cut their hair, shave it bald. Every last one of us got to be bald-headed.
Who made that decision?
Shit, we all. Raymond Washington, because he's already bald-headed. He had a funny-looking natural anyway. You know what I'm saying? But that was a dare. And then Don Juan, he was the prettiest curly natural. And the bronze there was there saying, no, everybody going crazy, right? Bitch, I tell you what, you going to be a Crip, you ain't, right? You going to cut your hair, you don't cut your hair, right? Everybody cut their hair bald. Everybody.
And who?
Even the boys that was once the 77th Street boys and running the neighborhood, they cut their hair bald. The Avenues was a big name to me and respected likewise in that neighborhood and wherever else they went, you know what I mean? So, all of us, was adopted their style of life, and tried to, imitate and be like one. And I had one in particular, like Victor Adams. He adopted me as a little brother. He was a little skinny guy at that time, but later on, as we grew, he got big and he was crippled. He had like a leg defect. You know what I'm saying? But one leg was either shorter than the other one or whatever, but he walked. But he developed that walk and made it a cold stroll, right? We always started walking like Victor Adams and moving like Victor Adams and walking with a limp, right? So yeah, we was acting like we was crippled. I wish I could demonstrate that walk, but I won't. But we had that little walk like this here, right? Because Big was big, and we walked like that, right? And we're like one of our legs was shorter than the other. We was acting like we was crippled. And we came up with the idea that Crips. You know what I'm saying?
So this whole crippled walk actually originated from Victor Adams.
Victor Adams and he don't know, he know now. Because I put it out there. We wouldn't ever tell him back then, because we didn't say Victor Adams hit somebody upside the head with a dumbbell for trying to imitate him, lifting weights. See, a lot of people say we was calling ourselves Cribs. and baby Crips and all that shit. No, nigga, we wasn't spelling our name right. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us didn't go to school long enough to be educated. A lot of people say we follow the pattern behind the Black Panthers and all that shit. You understand what I'm saying? It never happened.
So when people say Crips, is that just a misspelling?
That's it, man. It's for the C-I-R-P-S. Some people got tattoos today with C-I-R-P-S on their hand. Some people got tattoos today with C-R-I-B-S. You know what I'm saying? People just didn't know how to spell back then, partner. You know what I'm saying? It was uneducated.
So Crip comes from, crippled comes from Victor Adams.
That's just the walk, period. That was our way of saying we still was an avenue. But now guess what? Guess who popped up after that?
Miles?
Richard Miles. I fucked up. Lord knows I fucked up. Now but see, my thing was this. I was trying to show Richard, I had a bunch of partners, right? We could join in, right? Look, man, look how many of us it'd be now. With the Miles family, with the 77, man, look how big we could be now. And Richard looked at me like, nigga, I don't this motherfucker, this, man, what the fuck? See, in my mind, I wasn't smart enough to think, if Richard Miles and Raymond Washington did join their forces, who's gonna call the shots?
Thanks for watching StreetGangs.com. Please like and share the video you just watched and leave a comment below to tell us what you think. You can also watch 2 of our previous episodes to the right. Please visit the link to our Patreon page and support our campaign. And don't forget to subscribe.